you can get really in your head about it can be easy to get in your head as a first year about the expectations you had about your first year in college. And, not everything is gonna be exactly how you expected it. That's never how life goes.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Encounters podcast, stories about first year students in Notre Dame and their walks of life. I'm Sophia Torcelino, and today I'm joined with.
Alice O'Brien is my name. I'm a first year from Indianapolis, Indiana, studying business analytics at Notre Dame with a minor in sport media and culture, and I live in Baden Hall on campus.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so basically to get us started, maybe to share to the first years, the upcoming first years coming to Notre Dame.
Uh-huh.
How was your transition like? The first thing when you get on campus is welcome weekend. How was that transition coming with your families,
Mhm.
being from Indianapolis?
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna mention that I did mention in my intro, I'm from Indianapolis, so not too far away from Notre Dame. And so I think going in, I was not expecting to feel super isolated from my home just because, it's not super far away from campus. But I think a way is a way is what I've kind of learned and what I learned on welcome weekend and throughout the first month of college. Like, no matter the distance that you are from your home, I feel like you are away at college. And that's how it should be. But, with that comes the whole transition period, like you said. I think coming in, I was super, super excited. I kind of mentioned it in my encounters essay, but I was just really eager to, get on campus during welcome weekend and connect with people in my dorm and, go to my classes and really, revel in that first month. So I wasn't super, super sad to leave my family more so at the beginning when I first got on campus. It was kind of when I first went home, which was in October over fall break, that I really kind of felt that sense of, wow, like this is the reality of college is me coming home and, having to leave my family every so often. And I think the whole point that I was trying to get at in my essay is that, the reality of college really can hit for different people at different points in time. For me, it hit a bit later. And, that's not something that is bad. It's just kind of everybody kind of comes to that transition naturally on their own. And that can be at different times for different people.
Yeah, our earlier podcast episode before you, actually, her point of entry and transition to Notre Dame was the day before welcome
Okay.
weekend. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting to see also how for other people it's like maybe it's fall break and coming back
Yeah.
with that family and connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how have you been able to find yourself and ground yourself here despite
Uh-huh.
being a little bit closer to home than others? Um, is there any like rituals that you've done, practices, or is there classes that you really confide in, or maybe dorm support? Is there anything?
Yeah. That's a good question. I'd say a few of those things. I really early on tried to immerse myself in my dorm culture. I am in Baden, which is one of the smaller dorms on campus, which I actually really love. I feel like we have a pretty tight-knit community of girls. So I did have that support system kind of from the get-go, which was really nice. And a lot of my good friends now are in Baden, so it's nice that I get to live with people that I really enjoy spending time with. And I'm gonna be the spring VP of Baden next year, so I just really, like, enjoy the whole dorm culture aspect of Notre Dame, which is, I feel like, kind of unique to Notre Dame, especially because, we don't have Greek life, but, your dorm is kind of that place that's like your home, and those people are like your family in a way when you're at college, so I really try to get immersed in the dorm life. I think also I've always in high school, I was someone who really tried to immerse myself in extracurriculars. I feel like that's a good way to get accustomed to the place or the school that you go to, and it feels like I'm connected with the whole Notre Dame community. So I did swim in high school, so I do club swim now here, which has been a really cool place to just meet people who just, maybe swim in high school and have a similar interest to mine. I joined Notre Dame Television, which is cool, something I never really did in high school, so kind of put me out of my comfort zone in a way. But yeah, it allowed me to meet a really cool group of people as well. And then, yeah, just in the way of classes, just really trying to get to know my professors. I know that was something that was important for me in high school, and especially at a place like Notre Dame where there's so many incredible professors that actually really do care. I in my first semester, I was in, microeconomics, and it was in a 150-person lecture, hall, and my professor I went to office hours a couple times, and, by the 2nd or 3rd time, he knew my name, which I feel like, that just doesn't happen really at every university, I wouldn't think. So, relying on, people from my dorm and then extracurriculars for support and then establishing those connections with professors was huge for me too, to just feel like I fit in here.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people say when coming into Notre Dame is that the best thing about it is the community, and
Yeah.
the community doesn't stop just at the dorm. Like
Yeah.
you said, like there's professors that want to
Yeah.
really engage with you and that help. And you mentioned like that's kind of cool that you're going to be vice president
Yeah.
for Baden. You mentioned in your Encounters podcast how you're like the oldest sister or
Yeah.
like sibling in your
Mhm.
family, and I kind of think that also taking a older sister type role in the dorm
Yeah.
is a good contrast.
That's a great yeah, I didn't even think about it like that. I think that's always just been a big, thing that I've liked to do is, be a kind of, older sister kind of figure in people's lives, and I have had really great support throughout the upperclassmen in Baden, so I'm happy to give back in that way next year, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think also taking the initiative. Like I'm also like the oldest in my family.
Yeah.
So I kind of like saw myself in you. I was like, oh, this is very interesting.
Yeah, do you have how many siblings do you have?
I have two younger sisters. You have brothers,
Okay,
you
yeah, I have
mentioned?
2 younger brothers, so
Oh, okay, yeah.
kind of opposite, but still 2 younger
Yeah.
siblings, yep.
Taking leadership positions. I know. Like how for you,
Uh-huh,
despite like living closer to home,
uh-huh.
how do you like stay in contact with them? Do you have like letters, phone calls? What do you think?
Um, I think this has probably changed a lot since I wrote that encounters essay. I don't think I was as good about staying in contact last semester, just because the first semester can kind of be like a roller coaster of, trying to get adjusted and plan out your time. And I was doing a lot of different extracurriculars and trying to connect with people in my dorm. So I don't think I was as good about prioritizing my connection with my family at home last semester, but I have kind of taken initiative to reevaluate that and try to establish, just staying in contact with them more. So I'm a pretty big texter with my mom, and then I try to call her maybe twice, 3 times a week, which is really helpful. It's just nice to hear her voice and, hear about what's going on, especially in my brothers are both in high school. Um, they're a junior and freshman in high school, so they're in baseball season right now, so they're, really busy, but just kinda hearing about what's going on in their life, makes me feel more connected to them, because, I might be away at college, but I'm obviously still a part of the family. And my dad and I have always been really close. He's, kinda the person I go to for advice if I ever am just having a difficult time. He's kinda the person that I, call. So, yeah, I try to call both my parents pretty often, and I don't think my brothers are as big of fans of, having really long phone conversations, but
Mm.
I'll text them every so often, ask how their week's going or, how's baseball going, and that does help me, feel more connected to the family for sure.
Same. So you mentioned that your brothers are a junior and freshman.
Yeah.
Not my sisters are in high school, junior and
Yeah.
freshman
Oh
too.
my gosh. Whoa. That's kinda wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
I think like coming to Notre Dame as like the oldest person in the family,
Yeah.
it's like you're the first person to go to high school and you kind of set the stage for like
Yep.
how do you connect to like your family, but also how do you think that your family expectations kind of seep into your academic life, or are you really like um finding yourself and grounding yourself in what you're interested in and they're supporting you? How is that?
That's a good question. I would say they totally my family's just expectations kind of played a big role in my academics when I was younger. I was always pretty, motivated kid. I don't know if it's 'cause I think it is partly 'cause I'm the oldest and, I'm the only girl in my family, and I don't know, something in me as a child, I wanted to perform well academically, so I always really tried, hard, in grade school, even in going into high school as well. I've kind of tried to, over the years realize that, as long as I'm putting in my best effort, like, my parents should ideally, like, be proud of me no matter what, but my best effort's always gonna be, like, my full effort. I feel like I just tend to be a hardworking person, but it's kinda funny that you mentioned that because my parents sometimes talk about that, about me being, like, the first to go through it all in my family and setting, like, just a not even a high bar, just, like, showing my brothers that they're capable of achieving those kinds of things too. So, my brothers are, like, probably smarter than me, honestly, uh, both very high achieving and talented, so, like, it's cool to see them have a similar mindset to me, and I don't know if, like, seeing me do that played a role at all, but if it did, like, that makes me feel really happy, and it's just cool to see them, like, go through the same, you know, transition from grade school to high school, and then my junior brother's getting ready to, look at colleges and all that, so it's just cool to watch them grow, and we're all on, like, our own individual journeys, but similar in the way that we kind of approach them, I think.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned also in your essay that it like everyone going to college, it's all a transition
Uh-huh.
for everyone, and everybody has their own walks of life. So I kind of
Yeah.
see like the parallel of this podcast and meeting someone else that you totally don't know, but kind of
Yeah.
having similar experiences.
Yeah.
Is there, besides like stepping away from the personal life, is there any um activities outside of the class that
Uh-huh.
you've taken a hold of or that you're expecting to work on in the coming years as a first year?
Just in terms of, like, extracurriculars or, like, things on campus?
Yeah, like either on campus or like an internship or a class that you're looking forward to, anything like
Yeah.
that.
As I mentioned, like, I tried to get pretty involved early on in extracurriculars because, I mean, there's so many different opportunities at Notre Dame, they're kind of endless, so it can kinda be overwhelming at times, but, you just kinda gotta see what you really, really are passionate about is what I found, and it's okay to say no to things, which is also something I'm not super great at, but something that I've definitely learned in my first year coming to college as well. But, this summer, I'm gonna be going to West Virginia through a program at Notre Dame called ND Bridge, and this is only the 2nd year, I believe, so it's fairly new, but it's kind of designed for first-year students to go out and perform community service work, with 3 other, freshmen from Notre Dame, and I think it's a really, really cool opportunity that I I was deciding whether or not I wanted to apply, and, I had a friend who is in Baden. She's a year older than me, and she had done it last year, and she just spoke very highly of it. And so I was sort of on the fence, and I kinda, like, prayed about it and discerned, and I decided I might as well try it or just give it a shot, and then I got an interview for it, and then I was like, "Okay, maybe the interview will go well, maybe I'll get it, and if I don't, I put my name out there, and that's great." And then I ended up, getting one of the top 3 sites that I had, which was just really, really awesome, but I'm very excited. I think that's such a cool opportunity for first years, first of all, and then just an opportunity that's pretty unique to Notre Dame, and the way that you're able to, extend yourself out to people beyond the Notre Dame community. There's a lot of different opportunities to do that, especially in the summer. So I'm really excited. It's 8 weeks in June and July, which will be, like, the longest time I've probably ever been away from home, factoring in all the breaks we have for
Yeah.
college. I tend to go home about once every 2 months, but I think it'll be really exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I think also ND Bridge has a different program for upperclassmen,
Yes, yes.
sophomores, and I
I
think
think
juniors
it's,
too.
like, the CSC
Fellowship,
fellowships?
yes.
Yeah.
I have the same one too, so I'm taking the fellowship one.
Okay.
And my roommate did ND Bridge last
Really?
year.
Where did
So,
she go?
she went to New York, yeah.
Oh, that's
And so
cool.
she did like a teaching program. And for me, I wanted to do like healthcare,
Mhm.
but they kind of intersected my interest with like immigration. And so I'm
Yeah.
doing healthcare and immigration help at Texas. So it's gonna be pretty
That's
fun.
very cool.
So yeah, if
Yeah.
you're like interested in continuing that, but maybe in a different place or like field, you could totally take
Yeah.
hold of it again.
That's very cool. I mean, it's cool that they offer that, like, for repeated years because, yeah, mine is kind of community development centered. I'm gonna be working on a farm, uh, building houses and working in the garden and providing meals for people, but it's so cool how many different, like, social areas the ND Bridge spans and then the fellowships as well, and that you can continue that. So,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
a lot of opportunities here in Notre Dame.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
So to end off the podcast, is there any advice that you'd like to give to upcoming first year students?
That's a good question. I'd say first and foremost, if I had to give any piece of advice, it would just be to, treat yourself with grace as you go through the whole experience. I think you can get really in your head about it can be easy to get in your head as a first year about the expectations you had about your first year in college, and, not everything is gonna be exactly how you expected it. That's never how life goes. Uh, but if you're kind to yourself throughout the process, I think it makes it a little easier. And then, going off of that, I think it's very important to try to find people that you're able to connect with and talk to, because I think the encounters, like, the whole essay is really cool that they want people to share their stories because it shows how, our stories are different, but at the same time, there's so many commonalities amongst our experiences. And so, chances are if you're going through something, someone else has probably gone through a similar thing, or they can relate to you in some way, especially if they're like a fellow first year. So I would really, really recommend trying to build bonds with people in your dorm and just putting yourself out there. I think college is one of the best places you can do that because really at a place like Notre Dame, the sky's the limit in terms of the opportunities that you're able to have and the people that you're able to meet are some pretty amazing people. So, treat yourself with grace and put yourself out there and try to expose yourself to new people and it'll hopefully it'll work out in the end.
Yes, thank you so much for joining this.
Yeah, thank you
And
for having me.
for anybody who wants to read Alice's story, you can find it on ND First Year website for encounters. So I'm Sophia Torcelino, and thank you for joining the third podcast with Alice.
Thanks, guys.